Hello there, my name is Bruce from Brankus Creations, and does that look a little bit kind of frame rate low kind of thing? Welcome to my live stream. Oh wow, look at the way the CPU's going off. Okay, let's just maybe quit some of the stuff in the background. It might be a little bit too much for this poor little mini to handle. I recently upgraded the software that I live stream with. It's called Ecamm, and I upgraded it to the latest version, and it looks like it might be using a little bit more CPU grunt than it does usually. So, very quick hello there to Jay from the House of Moth. I hope you are still here. Thomas Armstrong, hello, and to Eric Helgeson. This has not had a great deal of planning, as I'm sure you can imagine. I basically just decided I was going to stream, and normally when I do that, I kind of set it all up well in advance and all that sort of stuff. Joe Williams, hello there. And I didn't really do that this time. I kind of set this stream up about 15 minutes before I went live, which is probably not the best for getting a lot of people coming and watching. But at the end of the day, who cares? Got work to be done, whether I'm streaming or not streaming, work needs to be done. A couple of little things I just want to mention. I released a video review. Oh, I should mention, what is it? These little pox marks on my face here. I apologise for those. I apologise that I look so poxy today. That's they're bites from some form of insect that is still unknown. Mike Maloney, hello there. Patrick Pitts, hello. So yes, at this stage I still don't know what the cause of this is. I've got some on my arm as well. Just got bitten by something, and it is a nasty bite, whatever it is. It remains inflamed for an extremely long time, and I'm not happy about it. But what are you going to do? Huh? What are you going to do? Apart from have a really low frame rate. Interesting. I don't know if you guys are seeing this as well, but I definitely do feel like I'm, playing a first-person shooter on a computer that's not powerful enough to handle it. But anyhow, I do apologise. Hopefully it won't be too much of an issue for what I'm doing here today. Garth Beagle, hello. Joe's Computer Museum, hello. You have a jitter, yeah. Why? The only thing that I can think that has changed is I have updated the software that I used to stream with. It's gone from version 3 point something to version 4. I may need to look into putting a more powerful computer down here for this live streaming. I'm currently using a 2012 iMac with Open Core on it, Open Core Legacy Patcher, wonderful thing, and running Big Sur operating system on it. And look, it's been a great little computer. It has been blazingly hot here lately, so it might be suffering a little bit. I probably should have let this computer sleep for a little while. But anyhow, Jay Sixto, hello there. So, new camera lighting. No, same camera. No new lighting. Maybe I'm zoomed out a little bit differently to usual. I think I'm zoomed in a bit more normally. So, you get to see a little bit more of the mess in the background. You can even see the little ultrasonic cleaner. I've got an ultrasonic cleaner review video coming up fairly soon. I mentioned that in my last live stream. A couple of things I want to mention. Yes, so I did a review of the Tomlov DM602, I think, from memory, digital microscope. I just want to mention to everyone there is a DM602 and a DM601. The DM601 is a 7-inch screen, the DM602 is a 10-inch screen. So if you're wondering why there's quite a big price difference between the two, that is why. And I can tell you that that big 10-inch screen is pretty awesome to work with, but yeah, there is a cost overhead for that because, bigger screen, more expensive. Jaws, dun dun, dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun. Now, a couple of other things I want to mention. Kay Kober, one of the true gentlemen of our, vintage collecting. Kay Kober, he is the member of the Satanic Mac Club group, and of course, Keros Mods. Keros? Something like that. It's probably written on this here. No, it's not written on that. Might be written on this one. Keros Mac Mods. There you go. Retro Techie, hello there. Now he sent me this kind of cool little thing. Now this is a ROM replacement for an SE, for the ROM Max. So the SE30, the 2SI, I think the CI even. I think the there's a whole bunch of them where you can put a different ROM in, and this is one where you can basically just program these ROM chips. And he was kind enough to actually send this to me with these pre-programmed with a little system on there as well. I think it might be system 607 or something like that. So I can put that in and then boot up off this. Now, this is not new to anyone. There's obviously one like this, which is the, I know it's not very clear, but that there is the Rominator 2. Dana is here, hello there, and Sean is here, hello there. So this is the Rominator 2 here. We're probably all aware of that. The difference between this product and that product is this one you essentially buy as a kit with these little sockets, and you get these little chips and you program them yourself. So this is designed more of a DIY kit rather than buying something all ready to go. But as I say, this is Satanic Mac Club, and I do love the way he puts LED lights on his stuff. As I said in one of my previous videos, I like sparkly things. So, and of course, he also sent me these. Now, I've already done a video on these, but he sent me even more. So I got some purple of the 4 megabyte kits now. I'm extremely happy about I've got the purple ones, because the purple ones will go with something else purple I'm going to be putting in my Macintosh SE30 soon. More on that later. Okay, so I may end up actually making some more of these today, because at the end of the day, I gave some away the other day to a customer. So basically a customer sent me some stuff to do some recapping, and rather than actually pay me in dollars, he paid me in equipment. So he gave me a 2SI that will never live, but it's a case and it's a motherboard and it's spare parts on it. Great thing about 2SI is there are a lot of parts that are also on the 2CI, so it's a nice parts machine to have. So a 2SI that's been, completely battery buggered, and then he sent me an LC2? No, an LC, this thing. What's this one? He sent me an LC3, an LC2, and an LC3 logic board, and there's nothing wrong with the logic board, so I'm pretty pleased about that. What's that? See your submersion heater there hanging up. Yep, there it is. There it is, my yellow submersion heater. I even use this for the one that has a heater, because I drop that in, it gets the water in this hot in 5 minutes. Whereas if I use the heater that's built into this this cleaner, it's more likely going to be sort of half an hour. So, oh yes, and just for the people that have joined recently, if you're wondering why I have these red spots on my face, I've been bitten by a miscellaneous insect, and I don't know what it is. And whatever it is, the bites are left very, very inflamed and itchy and awful, and I don't like it. And I don't like it at all, not one little bit. Yeah, so anyhow, 4 megabyte sims, going to make some more of these at some stage. He's given me the ability to make another 8, and I've already made 16 of them. So I've made 16, given away 2, so I have 14. Then I'm going to add another 8. So I'm going to have lots of 4 megabyte sims. Happy about that. Can never have too many 4 megabyte sims. Now, one of my regular customers, a guy called Max Button, he may even pop in here. He sometimes pops onto these. Dustin Cole, hello. This sign is pouring uphill. Yeah, what keeps happening to that sign is the power cable that comes out of it is sort of hanging down and going into a double adapter or something like that. And what keeps happening is, through just stuff going on the shelves behind me, it keeps getting yanked, and it keeps getting yanked down, so I keep having to yank it up, and then when I yank it up and it comes unconnected, then I've got to fiddle around. So many large insects. This, I think, was done by a small one, but yes, you're right. I don't live in Oz due to miscellaneous insects. Yeah, I mean, look, the insects probably aren't too much to worry about for the most part. I probably have a little bit worse than other people, because I do have backyard chickens, and backyard chickens do attract pests. And you have to use stuff on them. There's stuff you can use called like pestine, which it's a powder. It doesn't affect the eggs or anything like that, but you just have to powder it on the chickens, and it kills little critters and stuff like that. So I probably do get a little bit more in the way of pests here. But of course, it's the spiders that you really have to worry about, our arachnid friends. Oh, and the snakes. Mind you, not a lot of snakes around this part. Right now, yes. So one of my regulars, Max Button, I've done some work for him. He was actually the person who tipped me off to one of the best sort of vintage computer buys I've ever had, where I bought a great big lot of computers, and in return, as a sort of a finder's fee, I let him have one of the computers. Anyhow, he has been contacting me and saying, look, I've got some recapping for you to do, but I know how busy you are and you don't want to take it on. And I'm like, yeah, no, look, I really don't. But then I gave him a not working G3 iMac because he wanted to play with it and see if he could get it working or use it for parts or whatever. It was the, God, I can't remember, Indigo? It's the Indigo one. And so he came to pick it up, and while he was here, he's like, you taking recapping yet? And seeing as he'd driven all the way over to pick up this computer from me, I'm like, oh, okay. So he gave me 2 massive boxes full of logic boards. Full of logic boards. Anyhow, he said they were all going to be pretty straightforward, he said to me. He said, that's what he said, Max said that to me. He said, they're all going to be pretty straightforward, he said. I open up the first box, take out the first board from the first box, and out comes this. An LC575 covered in green shit with rust and corrosion and ugliness, and I just looked at it and I thought, oh well, at least there's a live stream. So we'll just have a look at this with the top view here, up there. We can see it there. So the cat's the size of cat-sized spiders. Frank S, hello there. Benjamin Dresler, hello there. Yeah, I mean, the really dangerous spiders are the funnel web. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about the Australian funnel web or the Sydney funnel web. They're the worst because their poison is just so bad, and they're aggressive. They don't just shy away. I mean, if they're threatened, they get really aggressive and come at you. They're like, I feel like there's a slight delay here. Never mind. And of course, their poison is deadly if you don't get antivenin. So yeah, they're the ones to look out for. They're a pretty fat spider, don't get me wrong, but we do have bigger ones, but they're not as deadly. Bloody hurt though. Michael Mullet, hello. Mystery Margot, hello. Yes, this is nastiness. This is definitely nastiness. So anyhow, we're going to have a look at this under the microscope. It might be worse than it appears, but I suspect not. Green is always a problem because green is generally the sort of, what do you call it, side effect, I suppose, of corroding copper. So when you consider all the traces on this are made out of copper, there's always that fear that, you know, it's all going to be massively corroded traces. And we'll find that out in a moment. I probably should ultrasonically clean this first. Incidentally, I should say, if this is too hard, if this is not worth fixing, I'm not going to fix it. So, and if that happens, I'll just go and grab the next box from the next board from the pile, and hopefully it won't be as bad. But we'll at least have a look. We'll see what it's like. So, oh, I should say, there's a couple of things I should say really, really quickly. Number one, anyone who is watching this as a replay, just a special hello to you, as in you didn't get to see it live. Just want to say hello. Always like to do that. And of course, if anyone is watching my live stream here for the first time and may have subscribed to my channel through my ultrasonic cleaner videos, this is one of the other things I do. This is one of the things that I use the ultrasonic cleaner for cleaning up boards like this when I do repairs to them. And so generally when I do these live streams, I chat a bit and I repair a bit sometimes, and answer questions and try and keep it reasonably light and fun. And so there. It may not necessarily be your cup of tea, but if you are watching for the first time, I welcome you and feel free to jump into the chat. We always try and keep the chat pretty lively. All right, let's have a look. Let's have a look, shall we? Let's get into the microscope view. Zero. Right, and we zoomed out as far as we can. So this is green stuff. It is floating on top. we're going to have a little bit of a scrapey wipe and just see what's underneath it here. Something is, I sort of get this feeling, oh yikes. Okay. All right, so let's just let's observe a couple of things here to start off with. First of all, I'm seeing these little blobs here of green, and they are on the vias. So the vias are going through the board and then out the other side. So what I'm probably going to do in a moment is just see what these vias look like from the other side, and then I might clean a couple of them up and just see how bad they are. Are we dealing with that copper hole completely and totally all the way through? What? That's not just cap juice, is it? No, it's not. Here's the real telltale sign. This is the scuzzy port. Look at the rust on that. This has been stored in a boat shed or something. I mean, this is like serious rust going on there. So we're talking about some outside forces, not just cap juice. So if we actually look over here, it's not too bad. We can see the cap juice. You can, if I get myself a little Q-tip here, and we'll just do a little bit of this. That's the cap juice there. You can see that on the Q-tip there. So you've got, that's what your standard stuff looks like. Oh, gee, you know what it is. It's bloody obvious now. Bang. The Rayovac battery is gone. That's exactly what's happened. So this is where the little 4.5 volt Rayovac battery sits. It's on this little Velcro-y type thing. It plugs into this little pin here. And, well, I mean, the proximity is perfect. The battery's just gone, and here we are. We are in a world of hurt. Lose it out here and you're in a world of hurt. Okay. Now, hey GT, I need to know where Steve and Mike are. I watched their live stream yesterday, so I expect them to be here watching mine. Otherwise there'll be trouble. Otherwise I'll expect some payment for watching that live stream yesterday. All right, so we know we've got a Rayovac battery explosion going on here. Now we just need to assess how bad the damage is and whether this is something worth fixing. So here's the thing that you always got to keep in mind with these sorts of vintage computers, apart from focusing the microscope. A lot of these things are fixable. It's not just a matter of saying, oh, look, you know, this can't be fixed. You know, I look at something like this and think, yeah, potentially can be fixed. But then I've got to charge this person for my time. And I've got to put an hourly rate on there. Now, I've got an hourly rate when I'm working as a developer. If I am not doing development work and doing this work, I don't necessarily want to take a massive pay cut when I'm doing this work, but I have to, because I can't charge people the same as I charge. But even still, if you put a dollar value for like an hourly value on doing this work, and then you do X amount of hours, and then say, okay, it's repaired, but that took me, I don't know, 5 hours. And let's just say I put a figure of $100 on it an hour, $500. Is it worth $500 to fix an LC575 logic board? If you ask Steve, the answer is definitely no. Enzo, hello there. I'm staring down the barrel of 575 with trace damage due to battery bomb 2. No startup chime. So keen to see how you handle all this. I'm about to chuck it out the door. How about that? That's how I'm going to handle. I emptied the bin yesterday, the trash, and so I've got lots of room in there for this board now. Yeah. What's this say? Okay. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to randomly take a little spot here. We're going to clean it up. We're going to see what the traces are like. We're going to see what the vias are like, and just see whether we are even looking at something that can be repaired. So the first thing I'm going to do is flip over to the other side, Because if damage gets to the other side, it's usually a pretty bad sign. And it has. I can see here now, this is the other side. The other side, as we would say in the coin business, the reverse side. The other side is the obverse. And yeah, I'm not filled with joy and hope, because we have this very clear corrosion that's gone right through to the other side of these vias. These are probably ones going to power rails or earth or ground. We've got some trace breaks going on there. And there. Yeah. I can see myself going for the next board. Yeah. Came for the green gug, but stayed for the coin facts. There you go. See, we always provide a wealth of information on this show. I'm going to just take the CPU off here, because I'm just curious to see whether it's got to the pins of the CPU. Because if it has, then I would probably then just say no. Because these little pins on the bottom of these 040 CPUs, this is a 68 LC 040. The LC basically tells me that it doesn't have a built-in floating point unit for calculating float numbers. And so they in the quadras, well, the pins look fine. So the quadras had the full 68040 chip, not the LC version. Right, okay, so that's something. That's one promising thing. No. All right, let's have a look. Let's do it. I said I'd do it. Let's do it. I'm beating around the bush now. So what I'm doing here, I'm using a scrapey. There'll be plenty of people telling me that I could do this with a different tool, maybe a little motorized spinning grinding tool or something like that, or maybe I should be using a fiberglass pencil. But I'll be honest, for me, it's not necessarily for everyone else, but for me, I prefer to use a scalpel, a scrapey scalpel. How's my blade looking? Oh my goodness, my blade's terrible. It's awful. It's just awful. Let's try and find some replacement blades. They're in here somewhere. I had them the other day. There we are. One day I will run out of these blades, but I just had scored this most amazing deal once. There was a person on eBay that had 5 boxes of them, and they were selling them all for really cheap, so I just bought all 5. So I'm just sort of set for blades for ages. Captain 318, hello there. And Gamel's rigged. Was this thing battery bomb? Yes, it was. All of this damage is all around where that little 4.5 volt Rayovac battery would have lived on this. They're bad, those batteries. I've seen some horrendous damage caused by those. They're the little square ones, the little black squares. Now I am going to have to take off this little bit of Velcro thingy. Come on. Anyone in the chat watch cricket? Probably not. Just really disappointed with the Australians' performance against India. Really disappointed. Okay. Inconsolable even. I'm going to take a photo of this, send it to my customer, Max, and say, Max, what do you think? So obviously the 575, one of the main reasons why it's a very appealing board to have is that people put them inside their Color Classic and turn the Color Classic into a Mystic. For those who don't know what a Mystic is, it is a model of computer that Apple were going to release and never did. And so the idea is they were going to produce, it never got an official name, but it got the code name Mystic. Because it was never officially released, it never got an official name. It might have been called the Classic 040 or something like that, who knows. But it was basically, you know, what they were doing is they were essentially putting in an LC 575 board into a Color Classic. Now you can do that now. You need to make some modifications. There are a series of modifications. You can make one of many, depending on how you want it to go. So, and I've done a video on that. So if anyone wants to look in my featured videos, I've got the info there on the Mystic mod. I mysticked mine and then unmysticked it, because once you do the mod that I did, you can't put classic boards in there anymore. And I get Color Classic boards. I get way more Color Classic boards to repair than I do get 575. So I needed mine to be able to test and stuff and things. Francois, hello. On a good looking Rayovac. Yeah, now see, what I'm planning to do is try and 3D print something to replace a Rayovac battery. Like a little box, same sort of thing, that will take like 3 1.5 volt batteries, like sort of little flat ones, little watch type batteries, 1.5 volt ones, and stack them together, and then, you know, run the little cable. So make a kind of replica of the old battery. But in the meantime, what you can do is you can just get yourself, I have some here, I might even have some. There's enough room in there to do all sorts of stuff. It's quite spacious in there. Is that one? Yeah. Just get yourself one of these. I can always keep a few of them on hand. One of these follows. It's just a AAA battery holder, like that, with a couple of wires on it, and so you can just stick some AAA batteries in there. Just have to make sure, if you are planning to do that, keep an eye on it, because obviously they can leak as well. Maybe get some lithium AAA batteries. You can get lithium ones, they'll last longer. Already made the one-to-one open SCAD model for the original to fit a CR holder inside. It should be enough, really. Yeah. I mean, look, I suspect you could, well, I'm not suspect, I'm virtually certain you can just stick a 3.6 volt battery in there and it'll still work, even though it's not 4.5. Every time an LC575 loses its soul to make that happen. Yeah, look, we will. There is one thing we do have to remember about the old 575 is they regularly commit suicide. Those computers do actually end up dying, and then you're left with a board because the chassis is gone. You know, we've talked about this before, this idea of spindler plastic. So when Spindler came to Apple in whenever it was, 1990 something, they were looking to cut costs, and they changed the formula of the plastics they were using, and unfortunately those plastics don't last as well as the plastics from the computers that came before them. And the LC, if you take a Color Classic, plastics on those are pretty good. You take an LC575, they look the same in terms of the plastic makeup, but they're not. And at 575, you just breathe on them and they fall apart. If you decide you want to, I don't know, recap the analog board, or if you decide you want to, I don't know, remove the CRT or something like that, the screw holes literally just snap when you go to use them. So not the best, not the best. I should just mention a little shout out here to my other channels that I am involved with. One of them is Startup Disk is Full Tech Chat. There's a spider on me. Startup Disk is Full Tech Chat. Bye bye, spider. And if Jay is around, could you maybe put a link to the channel in there? We've got a new video coming out soon on 3D printing. We had a couple of fantastic guests on the show, and we basically talked about 3D printing for much longer than I expected we would. But for anyone who's interested in 3D printing or has an interest in getting into 3D printing, that is coming out, I think probably late tonight, maybe tomorrow. I probably shouldn't bring it out on Super Bowl day, should I? That'd probably be pretty stupid. But anyhow, so yeah, there are a lot of 575s with these broken plastics, and people have taken the board out. I actually have a 575 in pieces. It doesn't work, and I have to fix it one day. But you know, I'm going to just see if I can get it functional and maybe just together enough. So thank you for that, Jay, for putting that link in there. So that's, as I say, that's their other channel. That's Startup Disk is Full. And then I should also mention the old Mac-Yak, which I've been doing now for many a year. Mac-Yak is on Thursday nights. That's Eastern time. Thursday 8 p.m. That's US Eastern time. For me, it's it's 9 p.m. We just changed it. Wake up, Rain. So yeah, it used to be 8 p.m. Now it's 9 p.m. That's actually what I wanted to talk about. So it's 9 p.m. Eastern time, and that's like 1 p.m. here for me on a Monday. No, on a Friday. Just wanted to mention that we have made a couple of changes to the show. We're trying to keep it a little bit more lighthearted nowadays. It's all about fun. If you get onto the show and you don't like what we're doing, that's fine. We were all getting to the point where we were getting a little bit frazzled, a little bit tired of doing Mac-Yak. We were struggling a little bit with it. And then we just decided, you know what? Let's just keep it fun. And so that's the way we're doing the show now. And if it's not your thing now, that's fine. Totally understand. But just letting you know that's how the show is now. 9, I know, 9. 9. Yes, no, I'm not British. I'm Australian. I'm an OC. I have no issues with anyone sort of dropping swears into the chat. I really don't. I'm not trying to keep this sort of G-rated or anything like that. I don't want anything political, and I don't want anything offensive to, you know, sort of an individual or a person or anything like that. And so I recently did have to block someone from my channel, which is, it's disappointing, but it is something that had been brewing for a very long time, because this was someone showing a pattern of repeated bad behavior. And so I have since then had to block them from my channel, because I am not going to let them use my channel as a vehicle for their hatred. So, but no, I hate fun. Yes. I haven't watched your video yet, Sean, with that absolutely awesome looking computer. That is one of the best looking computers I have seen, with the blue and the timber on the side. Reminds me of an old computer that we used to have out here called, I think it was called a System 80. It was made by a company called Dick Smith Electronics. And it was essentially another computer, it was like a TRS-80 or something rebadged as a System 80. And it had timber on the sides, great big keyboard, and it had a tape deck built into the side as well. And I just love the look of those old computers. They are just of a time, they're just, you know, things like that just don't exist anymore. Justin, hello there. My apologies that I missed your live stream the other day, that you streamed before we Mac-Yacked, and I didn't get any form of notification whatsoever. So it's probably because of the time it is here, I don't know, but yeah, so I didn't even get to see the beginning. Obviously, you went for like 4 hours or something like that, so I think you went well past our Mac-Yak show. But yeah, I would have at least liked to have popped in for the beginning, so my apologies that I missed that. Okay, now I've just been chatting here because I guess I'm probably just trying to avoid what's in front of me. Every time I scrape, I find gaps in the copper, and those gaps in the copper mean we're going to have to do trace repairs. Now, all of these will have to come off, and we'll have to clean underneath. What I want to do is just see how bad these little vias are. are we still actually making contact with the other side of the board? Let's go in and have a close-up look, shall we? Procrastinator. Yes, indeed, I am a professional procrastinator. Procrastinator. Prototype Sol 20. Oh, okay, yeah. It was a prototype, was it? Okay. Waiting for Sean to do a video on the Osborne. That's some pressure, isn't it? Sean, don't you think that's a bit of pressure? Incidentally, that video that I asked you not to make until I had made it, that just got delayed because I simply just had so many things come in that I had to kind of deal with. I had some deadlines on product reviews and that sort of thing. So I'm working on that at the moment. So that's going to be involving the old SE30 and a rather awesome mod. Oh god, look at that. Look at that. All right, let's have a zoom in. Zoomy zoom. I was working on something the other day where the zoom on this microscope wasn't enough. Okay, so that really doesn't look like there's any copper at all, does it? Nopskis. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Because the Commodore is keeping up with you. That was something we used to hear a lot because that was an Australian commercial. So we used to hear that a lot back when I was a youngster, when I was a young fellow. When I wore a younger man's clothes. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Come on. You thing. You. With your things. I might... Oh, shivers. I might have to make another one of my little branchous creations. Sorry, I mispronounce it sometimes and it stuffs people up because they're like, I thought he said it was pronounced branchus, but then he just said branches. I mispronounce it sometimes on purpose. Oh crap. Okay, so this is where I saw a Kai face there. Hello, Kai. And Eric's Edge is here as well. Hello there. No profile to prevent carpal tunnel syndrome. Oh dear. Okay, so what time is it over there, Kai? It must be bloody late or early. I don't know. One or the other. Got my little hammer. Keep myself a little hammer in here. Internet is down for 8-hour maintenance window. Hope things are all sorted out with your situation, Kai. I know that last time I spoke to you there were a few things that had not necessarily worked out to plan. I am not sure how to pronounce that. Sorry. Anao? I'm not sure. I apologize. Thanks for teaching how to make an ultrasonic cleaner. I am making one myself and it only costs 1/5 of what I would pay if I was to buy one the same size. Thanks from Brazil. You are most welcome and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Once again, anyone who is watching this video who has watched my ultrasonic cleaner videos, this is the other thing that I do, which is like repairing vintage computers, and that's one of the reasons why I use an ultrasonic cleaner to clean these, which is what I should be doing with this. Yeah, so I just do these and I try and provide some tips and tricks wherever possible and try and keep it light and fun and get the gang together. I have to now figure out what I'm going to do here. Smaller firm, more local to me. Yeah, it's starting a new job Monday. That's awesome. Local to you sounds like a bloody good thing to me. 1:30 a.m. Chilling. Nice. Garden furniture. Gardening oriented day. I tell you what I did not do yesterday is anything remotely associated to the garden. Because for anyone who understands the Celsius stuff, you might have to convert it if you don't. It was 38 degrees here yesterday. And so it was strictly indoors day. It was bloody uncomfortable. It was like open the door and whoo. Let's have that again. Whoo. Right. Right. Oh, what's that? It's got some goo on my hands. It smells like oil. I wonder where it came from. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, I think it came out of my... Oh, it did. It's like there's oil on my Dremel. Wonder why. All right, so I'm going to have to make a bit of noise here. I might need to mute during this because I need to make... It's not just as simple as times 1.8. What? Oh, yeah, I know. Sorry. 1 times 1.8 plus 32. Well, you can't just do that and not give us the answer. Come on. That's not fair. Come on, Joe. We're not all as smart as you. We can't work that stuff out in our head. All right, I'm just going to mute for a little second while I go in and try and make myself a tool, fashion myself a tool from a needle. So just going to do the mute-a-rooney. Maybe not because this is loud. I know what you're thinking. What is Bruce doing? What weirdness is Bruce up to? And I am building myself a little tool that I can then use to poke through these little vias, like that. So I can get all, because these have got UV mask in them. Yes, making a via poking tool, that is exactly right. Did we finally find out what the temperature was? 100.4. There we go. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. 100.4 sounds about right. Anyhow, it was bloody hot, is what it was. And I came out here at one stage, and then I went straight back inside again. Now these work really well, these via poking tools that I make. They work really well when I attach them to the Dremel and use them almost like a drill. Let's go pokey. Jack 68K, hello there. Have to watch on replay later. Well, sorry to hear that, Jack, but thank you for dropping in and saying hello. I do appreciate it. K-Mac Vintage, hello there. Jeremy VHS, hello there. Via poker tool that could be chucked up into a soldering iron. Well, see, here's the big problem: is it is thin, crazy thin. I mean, the fact that I just had to, I got a sewing needle and had to actually make it thinner than it is. I mean, it is ridiculously thin. I might even have some vernier calipers here, and I can tell you how ridiculously thin, unless I took them up to the house, which I do sometimes because that's the thing. I do have two sets of vernier calipers, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't find one of them and then grab the other one. Just, yeah, putting it out there. You're a great teacher. Thank you. You're most welcome. I'm not teaching anything at the moment. I'm making an absolute mess of this, but that's mainly because I don't like what I'm doing. And I'm very, very, very close to just giving up on this and grabbing another board. And I don't think anyone would think any less of me, would they? Would they? Is anyone going to say to me, you know, Bruce, you just gave up way too easily? I have a fiberglass pencil here, and I do use it from time to time. It can only be used in very specific circumstances. You cannot use it on a board that might have some oil on it or something like that. It doesn't work unless what you're scraping is dry, really dry. And yeah, limited. The big shout out to Kai. He sent one to me. He was keen for me to give one a try, so he sent me one. And I have used it, but as I mentioned at the beginning, I think I'm probably still preferring to use, there we go, I've just fiberglassed that. Does it look any better? Looks a little shinier. I think it looks shinier. And yes, certain circumstances I can see them definitely being used, so. Why haven't you given up on this board yet? That's a very good question. I mean, at the very least, what I need to do is ultrasonic clean it. I need to ultrasonic the shit out of it. It's got to be, and then at the end of it, I will then be able to see just how bad it is, because hopefully it will make a lot of this green stuff go away and all the stuff floating on the top, and then I can see what needs to be done for the rest of it. These, as I said, these vias need to be cleared through. These damaged vias here, because we're almost definitely going to have to run wires to them. Now what bothers me is some of these look like they're probably just going through. See, when you see one that comes through like this, and it doesn't go to a trace, see how it's just going to nothing? That means it's going to an inner layer. Now if that inner layer is just a power or a ground, that's fine. You can just sort of figure them out. You can trace those out. But if it's a data layer, it makes it very hard to find out where they are. You obviously need schematics. You then got to go and backwards trace it. I'm not even sure if there is a schematic for the 575. There might be, but I'm not sure, because the 575 wasn't a particularly, was it popular? Probably was. 33 megahertz 6803 processor, 5 or 8 megabytes of RAM, either a 160 megabyte or 220 megabyte, in a relatively compact all-in-one case that you do not want to have to pick up. I can tell you that from experience. They are not a lot of fun to carry around. Look forward to the day when Sprint has 6 layers of support. It's got to be coming, doesn't it? Wouldn't you think? So anyhow, I just want to grab a multimeter. Oh crap, I don't have any multimeters here. I think I took them away. I must have at least one. Come on. I've got multimeters everywhere. Ah, here we go. Got the old Kai Wheats KM601. How about that, eh? Kai Wheats KM601. A lot of multimeter. Low price. I have to confess, I really do like this multimeter. I mean, I don't just say it. I'm not just shilling it because, you know, sell it because. I actually really do like them. Just going to scrape this away here till I get some copper. What's the colour of a 2-cent piece? Copper. And let's try and find a point where it might make contact. Oh, this is no. Computer says no. All right, bored with this one. Got to go on to something else now. What do you reckon? one that I can actually, I mean, I suppose I could recap it, but what's the point if I can't get it fixed? Ultrasonic cleaning that one. I'm going to go in now to the little box and grab the next one. How about that? Got the multimeter on your recommendation. I do hope you enjoy it, Kai. I hope you are happy with it. Happy with your purchase. I'll tell you what, if you want to pick up a heavy computer, now I know there's the G3 all-in-one, also known as the Molar Mac, and they are obscenely heavy. I get that. I've never seen one because they didn't sell them out here, so, and of course you can't really transport them because they fall apart. But one of the really heavy Macs is an eMac. That thing weighs so much. I hate having to carry eMacs around. Lovely flat screen though, beautiful sharp flat screen, very nice. Okay, I'm going in to look at the box, so I'll stay in vocal contact with you. You just won't be able to see me. So, going to the box, going to the box, going to the box. Have a look in the box. What's next in the box? Whoopsie. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, this has got RAM in it. And this has an 040. And this one does not look like a frickin' train wreck. And you know what? I don't even need to change the name of the video because this is a 575 as well. In fact, how about we do a little bit of special effects trickery? Let's go to, just, you want to see where I put it? Ah, yeah, here it is. Here we go. Here we go, here we go, here. You're going to love this, you're going to love this. Oh dear, look, all this corrosion, what a mess. Can I clean it up? Hey, all fixed. It's already recapped. Why has someone sent me something that's already recapped? I'm guessing it doesn't work. Let's have a look and see if we can see anything obvious. So, let's have a look. So we've got those 4 caps there, those 2 caps there, that one down there, and those 3 down there. So let's just first of all make sure they've put all the right caps on, because this is not my work. So these ones here should be 16 microfarad. Okay, they're 476, that's what we want. So the 47 means 47. The 6 means 6 zeros, so it's 47 with 6 zeros after it, which is in picofarads. So it's 47 million picofarads, which is 47 microfarad. So yeah, so those are okay. But let's there's a lot of solder on there, but they don't look too bad. I'm not gonna say they're too bad. So yeah. Then we've got a couple under here, and these ones are also 47s. So 476, yes. And the polarity is correct, yes. Good, good, good. And this one is 4716. Okay, that's fine. Now, I am concerned. See how this one's off center? And you can see that this, so this is something I discussed in my what to do if recapping doesn't work video. One of the common problems that can end up happening is if you have a look at this tantalum capacitor, it has quite a wide pin on the side. That's one edge of it there, and that's one edge of it there. And so it's a wide flat thing. The capacitor it replaced, the electrolytic, has a small pin, a little narrow one that goes on this. As you can see, this one is hanging over the edge. Now, if there is a break in the this UV solder mask here, you do run the risk of potentially creating an accidental short if that, overlaps. Shady Robot, hello there. Max, just talking about you. Trying to remember if I sent, you sent me, well, so far too. You might be able to answer this question because this is your board. So, first of all, the very first board that I picked up was an absolute friggin' train wreck. So we're just going to jump across. We're going to go to top view and show it to you. So, if you have a look, you can see that this is a Rayovac battery explosion. I've done some scraping here. You've got probably, I don't know, 20 or more broken traces, and you've got vias that are corroded all the way through to the other side. Now, my first instinct is that this is probably not financially viable to repair, but anyhow, this is that. So, yeah. Now, I then decided, you know what? At the very least, what I'm going to do with this one is chuck it in the ultrasonic cleaner. I mean, look, this one has been stored like in a boat shed or something. Look at how bad the rust is on that connector. So, so this is going to go into the ultrasonic cleaner. We're then going to see what we're left with, what is still on there, and whether it's worth doing it. But that's my general feeling. Now, this one here, I just went and grabbed this as an alternative from the same box, and it is another 575, but it has already been recapped. So do you know the story of this one? Can you tell me off the top of your head why you would be sending me a recapped board? I mean, I assume it's recapped and hasn't worked, but it's definitely not my recapping. But I'm just curious, so yeah. Hey, thank you, Kai, for posting that in there. So Tinker Different has a new board of directors, and I am no longer president. Now we take our orders from Kai. Kai, El Presidente. That's Kai. So, yeah, I am now in charge of public relations, so don't piss me off. That's all I can say. TD board has been recapped. Yes, indeed. It has indeed. Right, so let's get back to this one here, and we'll just see if we can kind of try and figure out why this one might have been brought to me. Beep, 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 bang. There we go. So this is what I was mentioning, that you can sometimes end up with accidental shorts. Now, we could probably test this sort of, maybe. So what have we got there? We've got this. Okay, so are we getting a short across these two pins? We have, let me just check that. Don't be a thing. Okay, come on. Come on. Okay, that's 1.5, 1.7. Now this is a bad board. I shouldn't really be using this for my testing, but we definitely have less resistance across this than on the other board, but there could be a plethora of reasons for that. Hello everyone from Peru. That's Jan Motz. I'm not sure what the underscore is there. Meant to be another character there. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I am pronouncing it incorrectly, my apologies. So hello to you from Sydney. And a soft silky beard, yes. Recapped by someone else, I believe. I'm fairly sure it powers up, it gets stuck on a white screen and doesn't boot. I've seen that. And that makes me look over here. Beep, 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 beep. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Yeah, so we've got some yuck. So I'm just looking around the sound chip here. What am I attached to there? Is that ground? Probably. Help if I put this on the right mode. Cool. What is the part number of the egret CUDA? It is a 314S0788. Now, typically, when I have issues with the egret/CUDA, it results in the computer not turning on at all. Now, I'm not saying that that is necessarily the case here, but typically that's what I find, that your... Oh, far out, that's not good. Do you see what I see? A bridge in between these pins. I think we found a problem there, Max. There up on the chip there, up there. Now, of course, this could have been, as a result, this could have been someone doing this, trying to solve a problem, and in actual fact, creating another problem. We might fix this, and the problems still exist. It is a nice-looking bridge, isn't it? It's nice and smooth. A smooth bridge. This is like an old-fashioned North Bridge. Right. Well, the first thing we're going to do is obviously sort that out. So that will be fairly easy. We just need a modicum of flux. I'm not allowed to use that one because I have to do a review on that. I can't run out of it before I've reviewed it. I'm supposed to be getting some more fluxes to review, but they haven't come. So I'm not sure whether I just start the review or I don't know. I don't know what to do. The old solder ball that occasionally gets Jay a little triggered. The flux that I'm using here is the Amtech LC575 ASMTF. I have to say that it is the one that I like the most. It may not necessarily be the one that you like the most, but it is the one that I like the most. So it's the one that I use. There are lots of different fluxes out there, and I have tried them, many fluxes, many fluxes. More fluxes than anyone should have to try. Oops. I'm probably not even going to be able to properly... Oh, actually, I will be able to test this board. It's just I'm going to have to test it in a Color Classic, so it'll crash when I try and boot it. But as long as we get past that white screen, then we know we're pretty good. This chip, by the way, is the SCSI chip, for anyone who doesn't know. I've got some new spectacles coming, hopefully next week, but maybe the week after, that I've made specifically for working down here in the workshop. They're designed so that I can look in the microscope, I can look at the computer screen, and then I can look at things really close up. I think it doesn't boot. Okay, so that could be it. That could definitely be it. So I'm not going to add any solder here. I'm just going to use the solder that's on there. I'm going to be very careful. And we're just going to be freshening this up a little bit. And then we may need to take some of this solder away because I do think we have a bit too much. Yep, definitely too much. Yes, I saw that. Someone... Yeah. I did see that, Kai. I did. It doesn't matter though. I'm still going to make some because I like them. I think they're cute. But yes, I saw that the ADB is now... There is now a new solution to the problem. We have to hope that this chip isn't fried, because that is a possibility. But if it is, I'm pretty sure I'll have a replacement somewhere. Jay's trying to find his Raspberry Pi. He's lost his Pi. Oops. Got a bridge up there. Let's just get all this off the top, shall we? Okay, I think we're all good now. Really must sleep. See ya. Francois, thank you very much for joining. Sorry it's so late over there. Right, so let's have a look. I'm just going to zoom in and make sure that I haven't got any other bridges here, and I will have a little inspection of the board. If this is all that's wrong with it, and it needs it clean, it definitely needs an ultrasonic, but if this is all that's wrong with it, then we'll be very happy. But I might have to go and reach and grab another one from the box. Just going to check and make sure that these are stuck down. Yep, they are. Yep, all good. All good? Good. So, should we give this a test? I'm going to test it in my Color Classic, which I keep between my legs. I don't have the side camera set up today, unfortunately, so you're going to have to just deal with, like, this view here. Time to get ready for work. Okay, see you, Michael. A terrible pie. A pie is a terrible thing to lose these days. Yeah, look, they're wonderful things. Those little Raspberry Pis, aren't they? I mean, you know, the stuff that you can do with them, and that, you know, I know that the new ones do have a few issues related to heat. The version 4, I think. So you know, you've got to have a lot of cooling, but they're just jamming so much power into those little things these days. I just think they're such a wonderful thing. I've used a Raspberry Pi inside. I 3D printed a case that a monitor sort of thing, a mini monitor that looks like the original LC 12-inch monitor. Or no, did I make it look like one of the later ones? Anyhow, whichever one I made it look like one of the Mac ones. Oh, I've got to print that in the grey PLA. I hadn't even thought of that. I've got proper grey PLA now. I can 3D print it and make it look even better. So I set it up with a Raspberry Pi inside, a couple of speakers, a little liquid crystal display. It's been made to look like a Mac monitor. And with the Pi in there, it's got an emulator and everything. It just fires straight up into System 7.5, I think. You know, you can play games on it and everything. It's cool, and the sound comes out of speakers. It's great. Love it. And of course, I've got a Raspberry Pi working with my 3D printer using Octoprint. See, you didn't believe me when I said I keep my Color Classic between my legs. Yes, it might be alloy solder, I'm not sure. Suckers are 270 now. Whoa! Yeah, they used to be a lot cheaper than that. Look, you might still be able to get a 3B Plus for cheap, Jay, and that's ample for what you're doing. Well, I shouldn't say that, because you could be going on a path to new and interesting things. You might be doing things way more advanced than I am currently doing, so you might need the 4. All right, so let's go and test this out. We've got what is this? I think it's a 16. This is let's rate it and make another chip. So let's have a look. What do we got? We've got the LG SGM. No, actually, I'm not sure it is a 16. Might only be an 8. They don't look like the right chip numbers for 16s. Could be wrong. 17403. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure. I've been looking at a lot of these chips lately, and I don't recognise those numbers. So we've got our little 72-pin SIM there. We've got a couple of 512K RAM SIMs in VRAM SIMs in there to give us some nice, pretty colours. Let's pop this inside here and see what we will see. There you go. It's exactly the same size. It does fit in to a Color Classic. It doesn't, the holes in the back don't line up. And as I say, if this does actually boot, it will crash because it doesn't, the output video thing with the, doesn't do the, on the thing. So, not good thing. Now then, I had all sorts of trouble with my Blue SCSI the other day. This one, it's not working. And I suspect it's still not working. But let's just see what happens. Got ourselves a nice little chime. Oh, freak me out, son of a bitch. Squealing at me like that without me expecting it. When you put an LC in these, the screen takes forever to come on. There it is, here it comes. Now, if this Blue SCSI doesn't work, I'm pretty sure I might have to go up to the house and grab something else. I think I've got a Zulu. Okay, so we've got a flashing question mark, which is fine because there's nothing to boot from, but let's plug this in. Yeah, see, that ain't right. That LED's not even bright enough. It's not, there's something not right. Something definitely not right with this thing. Oh, ow, ooh, ow, 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 ow. That was bizarre. What do you call it? This thing was getting hot, like really hot. I think we can consider this little thing, what do you call it, blue pill, is rogered. Right, so let me just see what I can find in the way of no, I'm gonna have to go back. I'm popping up to the house and going to grab my Zulu SCSI. So I'm just going to do the back soon music. Just be careful, hands on the volume knobs. This sometimes comes in real loud. Found it. I got the SCSI 3SD and I got the Zulu SCSI. I had a spare. I should mention I had a spare one of these, but I gave it to someone the other day. He, as I say, he was someone I did sort of a contra deal with, and he said, "Oh, have you got any blue SCSI?" And I said, "Look, I've got one that I can't sell because the metal on the connector is tarnished. So, and I've just been using it as a spare. You can have that for nothing if you like." And he said, "That sounds great. I don't care about the metal tarnish." So yeah, and what do people think about me taking this SD card that was getting really hot and sticking it into the Zulu? What do you reckon's going to happen? Okay. 3, 4, 5. Okay, it doesn't like that SD card, and I can't say I'm particularly surprised. I think that SD card is cactus. Try the SCSI 2SD. This may or may not be working. Oh, look at that. He's a boot. He's a boat. Yay! It's going to crash though, just letting you know. Because it is just like that. See that? Bus error? That's because it's a 575 board in a Color Classic body. That's what you get. You get that bus error. I found my watch band, and for some reason I brought that down with me as well. Didn't need to, but I did. Okay, so, well, that one was a bit easy. You got anything else here? The first one we got was so bad it's not worth repairing. The second one had 2 bridges on it, 2 solder bridges on it. Does need an ultrasonic clean though, so there's benefits there as well. That was pretty easy. Yep. At least I didn't have to go in and recap it. I do have to do that sometimes. When people send me ones with real surprising, unusual problems that have been recapped, I generally have to take the old caps off because you just have to. You have to start from scratch, from an observation point of view. Alejandro Marino, hello there. You be stocking the blue SCSI V2? Yeah, look, I think I will have to. I've been struggling lately keeping up with the store because I've just got so much on. I've got so much work on. I've got work coming in my day job, and then I've got obviously the YouTube channel, and I've got punching up these videos. People keep sending me things, and I like getting things. It's nice getting free things, but they keep sending me things, but then I have to do videos on them. So I've got this kind of backlog of videos that I need to do. And then of course I've got the repairs. I've just got this mountain of repairs at the moment, like you wouldn't believe. And so so the store, I don't even have any stock in there of anything at the moment, which I need to remedy. But it's just I've just had to take a bit of a break because there's just been too much. I just haven't been able to fulfill orders in a timely fashion. So until I can get something sorted out there, but yes, all going well. And in actual fact, one of the things I'll be doing this afternoon is designing a case for the new blue SCSI DB25 version. It did come with a case that was designed by someone I suspect is in this chat here at the moment, and I do not wish to cause any offence, but I would like to make a different case for it. So, I'm planning to probably design that this afternoon if I have time. Yes, but okay. So this one probably needs a new blue pill, and I think it'll be okay. But it's very upset, very upset. All right. So look, I'll put it forward to a vote here to those who are in the chat. Sorry, just checking here. All right. So, this something to do with this new software here, but the chat here is not updating in a timely fashion. I would consider it a timely fashion. It stalls and then it just refreshes a whole bunch of them. I should be doing this sort of stuff too, shouldn't I? Yeah, will you be stocking the blue SCSI V2? And then I can talk to the question for someone watching it later on. Now, as I say, going to put it through to a vote here. For the next thing I do, would people like me to A, go in the shed and grab another board from Max's box and see what's there and see what other challenges he has, set me? That's option number 1. I suspect I know what Max is going to vote for. That's option 1. Option number 2 is to make some 4 megabyte sims from Kai's kit. So A is the mystery box, and B is the making the Sims. I cannot imagine that anyone's going to vote for me making these when I've got a mystery box. Who can resist the appeal of the mystery box? So yeah, everyone's going A. So anyway, I'm going to the box now. Back soon. Right. What do we got this time? What do you got for me, Max? What do you got for me? Okay. So the first two were 575s. These are all wrapped up in one container here. This one looks a little bit different. This, oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't take a photo of that other one because I didn't log it in. I've got to at least take a photo of it with the serial number. Yes, so then I can place it, yes. Oh, whoopsie, press the button. I could make some 2FX Sims. There's only one problem with that. I don't have, other than your 2FX. Actually, I should actually just make it to use with your 2FX, shouldn't I? And then I'll just keep the Sims and send your 2FX back, and then I might eventually get my 2FX working. I don't like the chances of me getting my 2FX working, but, you know, it's the one that was found on the bottom of a swamp, or equivalent. When I take photos of these boards for that I repair, I always take a shot from the top down. I like it to be high res enough so that I can generally read the chips and stuff. And then I take a photo of the serial number. Bing. And I can even bring that up on my phone and barcode scan it. It saves me having to type it. So I keep a barcode scanner on my thingy. Then if they've supplied some RAM or something like that, or what I'll usually do is I'll take a photo of the RAM or VRAM, whatever they've provided, so that I make sure that when I send the board back, it has everything in it that it had before. So that's that one. And then this is this is the other thing I pulled out. We're looking at a very similar sort of situation. We have here this looks to me like a Color Classic board. Gonna take a photo again. So once again, taking a photo from the top. This one, for example, I want a photo showing me that I have this battery cover, because some of them send them to me with the battery cover on, some of them send me with the battery cover not on. This one obviously has a card, and I'm going to whip that off in a fashion that doesn't break anything. There we go. And I'll take a photo of that, because I need to include that. I'll put that on there. Oops. I'll put there saying that this was included. Make sure it goes back. This one here has two options. You've got thin coax Ethernet or 10 base T. So it's a good one to have. Needless to say, of the different technologies or different types of Ethernet that were available, the one that won definitely was the 10 base T. Thin Ethernet did not win. There were advantages to thin Ethernet in that you could run them in a daisy chain, so you didn't have to have a star cabling configuration, so you didn't have as much cable. So you could just have, say, 5 computers in a row, and it just went from that one to that one to that one to that one, kind of daisy chained along. Whereas if you were using 10 base T, you needed a hub, and then it all needed to go out from that central location. So lots more cable used in 10 base T. But 10 base T was much faster because you had a hub, or then later on a switch that could manage the packets of information going through. Whereas the thin Ethernet was a 10 base 2 or whatever it was called. That was a lot slower. Rudy is here. Hello there, Rudy. You think this one does the white screen and doesn't boot? Well, this one has got gunk. So, right, now, this one here has no RAM included with it. That is not going to fit in that Ziploc bag. Have I got any bigger Ziploc bags? No, they're all the same size. What a pain. Never mind. Never mind. It's okay. I'll have a photo of it. I'll have a photo of it. It's recorded. So, all right. So this is a Color Classic board. This is your run-of-the-mill. This is your garden variety Color Classic board. Nothing particularly unknown about it. Staying for 16 bits. Gosh. This is my multimeter that's showing up in there. I'll just double check on this. Oh, Angular, sorry I didn't say goodbye. Bye, Angular. Incidentally, if anyone is ever wanting to know what time it is where I am, you can see it right there. That is local time, local Sydney time, 1:25 p.m. So it's a little bit past my lunchtime, but I had a very big breakfast, so I think I should be able to make it till a bit later. Haven't figured out what I'm going to make for dinner yet, though. This one here, I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but can you see the darkening around here? We definitely have some very, very clear capacitor leakage around the sound chip, and that is definitely something that can give us that white screen problem. So if I just run my little QE along here, I mean, look at when it focuses. It does do it. It just takes a while. There you go. Look at that. Look at the gunk. So, you know. Okay. Okay, so hang on. Do those SimPCB support making them parity sims? Yes, you're asking the wrong person there, Justin. I can understand why that mistake could be made, because one of them was made by K, and one of them is made by Kai. So Kai is the one responsible. So we've got two three-letter names that both start in KA. Kai is responsible for doing the 16 megabyte sim redo for the 2FX, which is wonderful. But what we have here, this is from Kei Koba. He is in Japan, and he's Kero's Mac Mods, and this is the ones he's made. And the answer to your question, Justin, is yes. You do have the option of putting a parity chip here. I am not doing that because none of the Macs I use require it. But you can put a parity chip here or leave it off. If you do put it there, you will also need to stick a 0.1 microfarad capacitor in this little location. If you don't do a parity, you don't need to put it there. But here you got a DRAM chip, you got 0.1 microfarad, and then you've got a little 331 ohm resistor. Only need to 330 ohm resistor. You only need to put that there if you are going to put the LED on the other side. Okay, so that is the situation with that, with those little sim there things there. The demand parity memory. There you go. Yeah, let's see. Just another reason to stick with the Macs, eh? Hey, mind you, we're making it a little bit difficult, aren't we? Because I think your 2CI has been with Jay for quite some time. I was partially responsible for that, but now it's not my responsibility. I've sent the parts. I am clear. I am clear of that. I do have a few people nagging me for board, so obviously Joe needs me to get this board back to him, but I do need to do more testing of some of the address lines. And I generally don't do that on live streams because it's so freaking boring. So I'll be coming in to do that probably either later today or maybe even tomorrow. And then of course I've also got Dan, Canadian Computer Collector, one of my favoritist YouTubers. I wish the guy just had so many more subs, because the guy is just an absolute hoot. He's a scream. I fixed up his Color Classic board, and he's very keen for me to get that back. So all I need to do with that one is just literally plug it in and test it. I might even get a chance to do that today. It's just I've got to test these things before I send them back, because these things do have a tendency to sometimes work beautifully on the table while I'm doing this stuff, and then I go later on to test them and they don't work anymore. And you might think, well, why the hell is that? Well, number one, sometimes it happens in ultrasonic cleaning. During the ultrasonic cleaning, there might have been a couple of tiny little bits of corrosion that were actually making continuity, and the ultrasonic cleaner cleans those away, and then you lose that continuity. Now you might sort of think, well, then your ultrasonic cleaner is breaking things, isn't it? Well, it's like, no, this is a problem that existed on the board. The ultrasonic cleaner simply brought it to light faster. You can't be in a situation where your computer is running from corrosion. that corrosion has to go, and then when it goes, if you then end up damaging the board, then you've got to deal with that afterwards. So that does sometimes happen when I ultrasonic a board. It'll work before, but it won't work after. Then the other thing that can happen is often when I'm working on these boards, they get hot. They're hot while I'm working on them from the soldering iron or the hot air station, and sometimes that heat can make things expand that make contact, and then when the board cools, they break contact. It could be a broken pin on a chip or something like that. So have to always keep that in mind when I'm doing this. Give them that final test before they go. I got a new watch. Did I tell anyone? I got a new watch. Look. Is Jay going to send me a message? Jay generally sends me a message when I put my things on camera so that he can see his message come up. But I got a Series 8 Apple Watch, and I have to say I am pretty damn impressed with it. I really like the fact that you can still read the time. You know, it doesn't go blank. It doesn't go completely blank. So build a massive ultrasonic cleaner and put your car in it. Yeah, why not? Sam Perner, hello from Emily and Sam in Birmingham, Alabama, USA. Hello to you. From Sydney, Australia, where it is quite a lovely day here today, I have to say. It is, what is it? It's about... There we go. Kai sent me something instead. It's 30 degrees Celsius here, which is, I don't know, what is that, 90 or something? I think it's 90, something like that in the Fahrenheities. And just a beautiful day out there. A bit of a breeze, sun shining. Lovely. Good to be alive. All right. Let's have a look at this board under the microscope and see what we can do with it. We're going to have to whip some of these caps off. I want to have a little look at the state of some of these caps. I think it'll interest some people. This is where I did my little smear test before. You can see how I've left a little clean patch there, but you can clearly see all of this gunk. All of this gunk. All around here. Gunk. And that's all leakage from these two capacitors here. These are our little, 100 microfarad 6.3 volt caps. Then we've got a couple of 4716s here. They're not as bad for leakage, but you know, still got to be changed. We've got a little 10 microfarad 16 volt floating around here, and there's definitely some leakage coming off that. And you've got here 47 microfarad 16 volt, and then one more 4716 here. So not a whole lot of caps on a Color Classic board. It's not a massive job to recap them, but more and more with these, I am finding that they're not just a straight recap anymore. The perfect recap is you get the computer that's not working, you recap it, you ultrasonic clean it, and then everything just works perfectly again. That's what you're always hoping for, but it doesn't always work out that way. Going to get these caps off. I do not never use twist and pull or twist method to get the caps off, and the reason I don't do that is because it's too easy to tear pads off. You might do it 10 times and not break a pad, but then one day you will do it and you will break a pad, and then you have to repair it, and it might look ugly now, and it was totally unnecessary. Okay, we've got live ones. We do have this problem sometimes with caps that they pop, and even though I'm looking through a microscope which has given me this much protection from my eyes, it still makes me jump and sometimes make weird noises. She's about to blow, Captain. Okay. Nothing like a little bit of warm air on a 30-degree day. Okay. There we go. So, 3 caps off. And let's move around the board and get some more off. I'm using a little metal blade, you know, like what do you call this? This little blade from those clicky box cutters, the clicky box cutters, where you can actually snap the ends off them and make them shorter. I find them to be really good heat shields, so I just pop them in place. Now this is an issue that I have here, and I really don't like melting the serial number, and so I struggle a little bit getting these caps off without melting the serial number. Let's see if I can get this cap off without the hot air station. First thing we will do is we will add some flux to it, and we will add some solder to it, which always seems counterintuitive. Why are you adding solder to something you want to remove solder from? There's a very good reason for that, and that is I just put some gunk on here. And that is that new solder is generally easier to deal with than old solder, and so you get new solder there mixed in with the old solder and kind of dilutes it and makes it nicer and fresher and shinier and all that sort of stuff. Okay. It's not pretty. No one said it would be. Okay. So now, oh, it stinks. Head over to the in-laws, Bruce. I'll be listening, but can't respond for a bit. All good, no worries. I don't think I'll have any more crazy questions for you. This one seems pretty straightforward. So it was just those other ones that I was, because I vaguely remember when you handed the box to me, Max, you said something along the lines of, I think everything's pretty straightforward. And of course, the first one I opened up was a battery-bombed nightmare. So, so it's like, what else have we got in this box? Right, now, can I lift this up? Oops, look at that, I just twisted it off and I didn't damage a pad. Do you know what that just made me think of, doing this? That made me think of Steve Ballmer on that ad for Windows. Has anyone seen that ad that he did? Like, he booked some spot on late TV or something like that. And he's like, Miami Vice. If you haven't seen it, you've got to see it. It is absolutely freaking hilarious. Ballmer's my hero. I've just never met someone who so doesn't care what sort of a dickhead he looks like when he's on camera. I mean, he just does not care, and I have just nothing but respect for that. Left eye just stopped working, my right one is on the way out. All right, Kai, thank you very much for joining. Yeah, sleep well and enjoy, what was it? Garden, you're looking for garden furniture? I think that was what you were saying, enjoy that. Just keeping an eye on things here. How are we sitting here? 37 people watching. So hello to everyone. If you haven't already, can I respectfully request that you smash that like button? Thank you. What's this? Oh, video file not found. Okay, never mind. All right, so scope view. Scope view, I said. Scope view, I says. What's going on now? Scope view. Oh wow, that was weird. I think I found a bug in this new software. Right, okay, so we've got these caps off and I've managed to not melt the serial number, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. Let's get these two off. Hopefully no more pops. Popses. I figure we've probably got time for me to recap this and test it, and then I'll probably call it a day. Go get myself some lunch. Might need to go out and buy some groceries to cook something for dinner. I think I'm doing bolognese tonight. I think that is what I have been requested to cook. I do the cooking in the house. But I cook to please, so I don't just cook what I want to cook. I cook what is asked of me, within reason. If my wife says, cook me a croquembouche, I'll say, no, no way. Not happening. Oh, look at this, I've got a super sticker. What's going to happen when I click on this? Yay! Pair character jumping up and down and saying number one fan. Well, thank you very much for that. Is it Failcore or Failcore? Failcore? I assume Failcore. Thank you very much for that. I'm sorry that I can't actually show the pair character jumping up and down and saying number one fan. This is one thing I would really like them to fix in this, in this software that I use, but this latest version they clearly have not. But thank you very much for that. It is much appreciated. What's that? Jerame Chamberlain? Jerame? Two imposters among us. I don't think I've actually had any thumbs down today. I do sometimes. I sometimes have people that just rock up and press the thumbs down. Which I don't mind. I mean, it's generally, if you've got the energy to jump onto a live stream just to press the down button, then I think I must be doing something right. Some very common points of failure in these. Whee! Another blower. Generally, the ones that pop, they're not leaking because they're still sealed. If the ones that are leaking in a big way usually don't pop because there's no pressure build up in them. When you heat them, it just out the bottom. Oh, what software do I currently use? I am currently using Ecamm Live. There are a lot of things that I like about this over some of the other software. So OBS has lots of advantages. It's got all sorts of capabilities and everything, but it is a bit of overkill, and it does have some problems, particularly sort of running on the Mac. But on the whole, it's pretty good. But this is much more user-friendly, this software. Now, you can go the other way. You can go even more user-friendly and go with something like StreamYard, which is what we use for the Mac Yak show. And obviously what many other people here are using for their own live streams. I think I've seen quite a lot of people using it, in particular for the big group streams. StreamYard is really good when you're having guests on, because it's really easy for them to dial in and then have multiple people on the screen. And then if someone leaves, they just go in and it just rearranges it, and you can move people around and you can zoom in on one person. So it's really good for that. Nate's here. Hello, Nate. And StreamYard integrates very well with YouTube as well, in terms of when you do get a super chat or a super sticker, you can click on it, it'll come up, it'll show you the icon and stuff. But one of the problems with StreamYard is it doesn't handle multicam very well, multi-cameras, and that's something that Ecamm does a lot better. Ecamm allows me to have multiple cameras, because I've obviously got the camera facing me at the moment, I've got this microscope camera, I've got the camera up here on the roof, and then I've got a camera over here. Now the one over here, it's not actually plugged in at the moment because I was using it for other stuff, but I will typically do my live streams with 4 cameras, and StreamYard doesn't like that. So yeah. So anyhow, Ecamm Live, it's not cheap. You obviously do have to pay for it on a subscription basis, and I'm not a huge fan of subscription models, but I do understand that that is the future of software, because companies have not been able to ultimately stay afloat without the subscription model. And the main reason for that is that when you have software that does what you want it to do, it's very difficult to then motivate someone to upgrade it, or more importantly, pay for an upgrade to it. It's like, well, it does it. See, for example, something like the Adobe Suite. if it was up to me, I would still be probably using CS4 because it matures to a length where it does everything I need it to do. And I don't need to go any further. The only reason I would need to upgrade is if someone sends me a file in the newer version and I can't open it in my older version. So then I have to upgrade just so that I can read a customer file. But one of the big problems, with when I used to use the, well, I still use it, but when I used to buy the CS4, see, I had the full CS4 suite. And you spend a fortune on that, and then the upgrade comes along and it's a fortune again. It's cheaper than buying it new, but it still costs a fair bit. And so I just would stick with the older versions. Like, well, they do what I want. What do I need to upgrade for? And that's obviously why a lot of these places have gone subscription based, because people weren't paying for upgrades. And of course, you sell them something once, you never get to sell it to them again. You have a finite market size, and then once you've saturated that market with your software, if they're not upgrading, you don't make any more money. And a lot of the software companies were dying for that reason. And subscription model gets around that. Now, with the, what do you call it? This is the Color Classic. Fairly common failure points around here. See these little vias that go through to the other side. It's not uncommon for some of these to get eaten through and not actually go through to the other side. But I'm not going to go down that path yet. It hasn't even tested this thing. So once we've recapped it, we can test it, and then we'll see whether something like that might be a problem with this. Wouldn't it be awesome if cars were modular? As in, like, you have like a left wheel module and a right wheel module, an engine module, and when you could just literally take that module off and replace it with a new one, and that old module will then maybe get sent back and get refurbed or used to make another one. And so you never really had to go in and go for any like hardcore repairs and services. You would literally just take one module out and put another module in. But would only work if all cars were the same, and I can't see that happening. Or very similar, put it that way. Well, yes, I know what you mean. Let me put it to you a different way. Yes, they are modular, but they're modular to a very, very granular degree. I'm talking about them being modular as in every car used the same particular type of module, so that you would literally just go to any mechanic. Let's just say, I don't know, your suspension is gone. And rather than just taking that suspension out and replacing it, you would just go in there and swap it out for a whole big up module that had all those parts in it, and then they would then go off and just service that other one or refurb it for other things. That's sort of what I would like. Slightly less granular modular. Yeah. And you know what I also think would be the best thing for cars? Seriously, hear me out on this one. This would be the best thing. What about having it so that every car had like a big thick rubber bumper like Dodgem cars have at the same height, 360 degrees around the car? So if you're driving along and you happen to have a fender bender, you don't bend any fenders, you just bounce off each other. I mean, seriously, how good would that be? I don't know why people aren't using these ideas. I just don't. Whoopsie. Oh, no, they don't. Those bumpers kill people. No. People just bounce off it. Joe, if you don't have anything positive to add, you know it's a good idea. You know it's a good idea. Well, if you put the bumpers down low so then it bounces people up over it, how about that? What about airbags all around the car? How about that? There's a good idea in there somewhere. You can figure it out, Joe. You're a smart person. You can take my awesome ideas and make them better. Under a corrosion. My first car, because I started riding motorbikes before I drove a car, but my first car that I had, it wasn't actually mine. I borrowed it, I think. It was a Holden. Now, of course, that's an Australian car manufacturer. It was a Holden Gemini, and it was a diesel. And back in the day, there weren't a lot of vehicles that were diesel. And it belonged to my grandfather, because my grandfather used to be a diesel mechanic, so that's why he bought a diesel vehicle. And I borrowed it for a little while, drove that, and it was bizarre because it was back in the days when, as I say, there really weren't very many, only commercial vehicles really were using diesel. And so when I used to rock up to the petrol station and start filling this little sedan with diesel, people used to come flying out of the petrol station saying, "Mate, you know you're putting diesel in that." Like, yes, I do, thank you. Because these days, lots of cars have diesel. See, Drake, you and me, huh? Yep. See, that's a great idea. Did you drive a ute? No, I have to say I've never owned a ute. I mean, I do occasionally hire a ute. You know, you might just go to a car hire place and hire one when you need to move a fridge or something like that. Anyone who's not aware of what a ute is, it's a vehicle, Australian, I guess, sort of design vehicle. It's very similar to what the Americans would call a truck, but smaller. So it has a tray on the back. So it's ultimately just a sedan vehicle, a saloon, that instead of having a back seat has a tray on the back. And it was a vehicle that was designed essentially for more for farming here in the olden days. It was a car that they wanted a car that you could use for working around a farm, carry around a few hay bales to feed the cows, but then you could also, it was nice enough to then to take to church on Sunday. So that was when the ute was invented, and ute is short for utility. And utes are very, very, very popular in this country. And they're very practical, but the downside to them is, of course, they, well, if you go with the one that doesn't have like an extra spot in the back for people to sit, you can only have kind of like two people in the car. You don't have a back seat because you've got the tray. But yeah, I mean, I'll sometimes hire a ute, but I don't own one. I can't justify owning a ute. I'd much prefer to have a sedan where I can put people in the back seat. I want to give someone a lift. Would you like a lift? Yes, I'd like a lift, please. Hop in the back seat. I like a car with a nice, comfortable, spacious back seat with little air conditioning nozzles in the back. Make it pleasant for someone if I'm giving them a ride somewhere. So that is what I currently drive. I drive a 4-door sedan. It is a Toyota. It has a, what was it, 3.6, I think, 3.6 litre V6 engine. It's pretty zippy. Got a lot of torque, a lot of power. 200 kilowatts. I mean, you guys probably don't use kilowatts, so you probably don't know what that means. You'd use horsepowers, wouldn't you? Yes. So I don't know how many horsepowers it is. You can probably find a website that will convert 200 kilowatts into horsepowers. Yeah, it's not a good idea to ride in the tray. People do that on farms, but you really don't want to be doing that on public roads. Not a good idea. It's a nice seatbelts. Got to put on the seatbelts. Right, let's get some caps on this. So I have somewhere a container full of capacitors. All I have to do is find it. Sorry if there's wind. Surface mount electrolytic. That's not what I want. Hang on, there's a whole bunch of containers here. I bet you they're here. There's some caps, some more caps. Nope. So we're looking for tantalum. That's the word we're looking for. Surface mount electrolytic, no. Where are all my frickin' tants? Where have I put my tants? I have to hunt for them. There's a container down here. Ah, here they are. Oh, here they are. Hello, Dave. How you going? Didn't see you at Maciac yesterday. Very disappointed. We didn't know when to finish because you weren't there. Dave gives us our cue for when, or certainly used to give us our cue of when we would, when it was time to finish Maciac, because he would generally turn up just before it was closing time. We have shifted the Maciac show now an hour later than it used to be. It used to be 8 p.m. and it's now 9 p.m. It may not suit everyone, and we do understand that, but it is it's very important because we want Dana to be able to participate in the whole show. Dana is bugger. Dana is not bugger. Dana is a very valued and entertaining member of the Maciac gang, and he works a shift that prevents him from being able to get to the show at 8 o'clock. So he used to just join it around about 8:30, 8:40, that sort of thing. And yeah, so and we basically got together and said, look, you know, we really want Dana to be able to be part of it. So how does everyone feel about shifting it back an hour? And we said, look, yeah, it's not going to suit everyone, but you know, let's do it. So that's what we done. 100 microfarad, 6.3 volts. I need 2 of them. How many? 2. Let's get those on first. Oh, and I'll get that 10 microfarad 16. We'll do that as well. Let's get one of those little fellas. There's the little fella. Oh, okay. So that's these 2 here are our 10 microfarad 16. They both have the polarities pointing into each other. You can see the 2 little plus signs there in the middle. I also have a little bit of exposed copper, and I think I might put a little bit of UV mask onto that. I'm just going to do this. I just don't like how close it is to these pads. Probably be fine, but it's the prudent thing to do. There we go. 1K is about the same as 1 horse, is it? No. That is not the case. So I know the numbers are very different. I know that my old car that was like 163, it was like 222 horse. It was like 163 kilowatts and it was like 222 horse, something like that. So I do know that whatever the figure is, it will be bigger as a horsepower. But no. Rode into town on a kilowatt. I like that. I like that. We have the metric system here. We have had it since 1966. It was not a fast or easy transition. I mean, just to give you an idea, I was born after that, and yet I grew up with a set of scales that were stones and pounds and stuff, and so I actually grew up working with weights in the old money, and then now I work in kilograms for weight. So you know, just got a new set of scales and then adapted. I'm still kind of feet and inches when it comes to height. I mean, I use centimeters and meters for everything, for measuring things and all that, you know, if we're talking about distances and that. But when it actually comes to how tall someone is, I still generally convert it into feet and inches in my head to get a feeling. I mean, a friend I went to school with, his father was 6'4" and he was bloody tall. And so that was kind of, for me, that was like, that's a tall person, 6'4". So I kind of, worked with the feet and inches for heights, and then still do. When I'm wanting to find out how tall someone is, I can form it in my head better in feet and inches than I can in centimeters. Oh, I don't know what kind of horsepower. I don't know. I don't know. Shetland ponies, how about that? Right. We have metric here in Canada, but use horsepower. Yeah, look, we use DPI here, dots per inch. Now, I mean, if you go into Europe, they all use dots per centimetre. Now, even though over here we are completely and totally metricated, we still use dots per inch when we're talking about resolution. We still use inches when we're talking about television sets. Well, a little less now. They're starting to phase in centimetres for television set sizes, but it's not uncommon for people to go around and go, oh, that's a 60-inch TV set, So there are still things that we are using, sort of imperial measures for, but on the whole, everything here is metricated. It's great for cooking. It's great for calculating. The maths is easier. So just using a little bit of UV solder mask here, just painting on a nice little stripe onto that bit of exposed, what do you call it? Trace. And then I'll just hit it with a UV laser to cure it. A bit of a pew-pew type situation. Pew-pew-pew. I do actually have some UV glasses that I can wear to stop the danger to my eyes and stuff, but I just keep forgetting to put them on. We still generally use PSI for tyre pressure as well. I certainly do. I'll put it this way: if you go to a tyre place and they're telling you what pressure you're going to put in your tyres, they will tell you in PSI. The tools we use to measure air pressure have both scales on them, and you can obviously decide which one you want to read off. But yeah, PSI is generally what people are still using here as well. Imperial yard, 3 feet is roughly a metre. Yeah. Yes, I mean, for generally from our standpoint, in terms of a foot, it's generally understood that if someone tells you something in feet, you just kind of divide it by 3 to give you an approximate metre measurement. That's sort of that's something that we've done here for a long time. Okay, I think that's good. Let's get some caps on here. Oh, there we go, itchy. .34 brake horsepower, there you go. So if you do 200 times 1.34, that tells you how many horsepower my car is. If you're interested. If you're not, don't bother getting your calculator out. Do. Oh, when it comes to small measurements, I can't imagine anyone ever doing that with inches. Now, I know they do, don't get me wrong, but I'm just, you know, like for instance, when I'm modeling things in 3D, and I'm using vernier calipers to measure them, the idea of working with inches when I'm then modeling this stuff in 3D software, that would just fill me with dread. Definitely, I feel that that millimeters are a much better unit of measure for that. There we go, two happy little caps facing each other, saying, "How do you do?" Well, do. How long have I been going for? Just over 2 hours. That's pretty good. That's not too bad at all. Thank you to everyone who is watching at the moment. I do appreciate it. I enjoy the company when I'm doing this sort of stuff. Work on people's boards. I've got a little bit more work to do today, but I probably won't stream it. As I mentioned earlier on, if you didn't hear me saying this, one of the things I need to do today is fix Javier's board again. So essentially we did a live stream and we got the thing working, and then I just went to go test it the other day before sending it back to Joe, and it doesn't work again. And I need to find out why. And I'm almost certain it's just going to be another data, you know, a little address path that's been cut, not working. So I'm just going to have to go through and buzz it out with the multimeter. But I try and steer clear of doing that sort of stuff on a live stream because for two reasons: it requires a lot of my concentration, so I then can't talk. And the other is that it is freaking boring to watch. So, yeah. For anyone who has never actually used the metric system, there are some huge advantages to using it. It's not just like we've done it to make people's lives difficult or something like that. There are massive benefits to it, and so while it's not easy to change over, I accept that. It's something that doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time. As I say, we're still doing some things in the old money here, and we did the change in 1966, but there are some huge benefits to it. So should you guys in the US finally decide to join the rest of the world and go metric, you will get benefits from it. You know, so it'll be an absolute pain in the backside to start off with, but you will then eventually, you know, reap the benefits that all the other countries. I mean, there's a reason why all the other countries have been doing it, because there are these benefits. So something to look forward to. There's our little 46 microfarad 16 volt cap going on here now. Little shout out to JDW, who I saw released a video for the first time in a while. It's good to see. I know that he's been having some issues lately. There have been some life challenges for James, and it was great to see him releasing another video. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, partially because it's 57 minutes long, but also because I just haven't really had a whole lot of time lately. But yeah, just pleased to see that things are on the improve and that he is able to release a video again. Yes, a kilometre is definitely shorter than a mile. 'Tis indeed. kilometre is 1,000 metres, and a metre is 1,000 millimetres, or 100 centimetres. The times when it really starts to get cool is when you start talking about volumes, because the thing is that if you have a cube that is 1 millimetre by 1 millimetre by 1 millimetre, so a little cube, 1 millimetre, that contains 1 millilitre of volume. And that just makes, when you're working with volumes and distances like that, it just makes life so easy. And it's also, if you fill that with water, it weighs 1 gram. So all of these things in terms of distances, volumes and weights all kind of work together. So if I'm in a situation where, so for example, an Australian tablespoon is Australian tablespoon is 20 millilitres. Now, if someone says, incidentally, some of the stuff that I'm saying I might actually be getting wrong, but there are other people here that use the metric system and they can correct me. But yeah, a metric tablespoon is 20 millilitres. A teaspoon is 5 millilitres. So there are 5 teaspoons in a tablespoon. But when someone tells you, like, they want you to do a tablespoon of a liquid or something like that, and you think, you know what, I can't be bothered doing a spoon. You can just put the bowl on the scales and then put whatever. If it's a liquid, you can just put in 20 grams worth and you know you're putting in 20 mils. It just makes life easy. I know not all liquids weigh the same, but it's generally close enough. I completely forgot that there are another 2 caps on here, so I'm going to have to pull another 2 out of the container. I mean, anyone would think that I've never recapped a classic before. Petrol is incredibly expensive over here. I know you guys call it gas, we call it petrol here. It's very, very expensive over here, but for me, it's not impacting me that much because I work from home. So, you know, it's just for when I want to go to the shops, or if I'm going on holiday or something like that, or visiting my ma. At the moment, it's hovering around about $2 a litre here. That's high for here. It's usually cheaper than that, but it goes in a cycle, and the cycle is a little on the high side at the moment. Last time I filled up for, I think it was about $1.70 a litre. A metric ton is 1,000 kilograms, and it is 1 metre by 1 metre by 1 metre. If you fill that with water, that's a metric ton. It's all very, very structured, very easy to work with. Got a little piece of my, what do you call that stuff? Solder wick there. Off you come. We nearly finished this one, by the way, so then we'll be able to test this out and see if it works. Hopefully it will. I might just give a little bit of a scrub around the sound chip because this one did have a lot of gunk. And of course it may prevent this from starting up, and it will need an ultrasonic clean to get it working. But we remain hopeful. With one that has leakage as bad as this, the hope is that replacing the caps will get it working. Blip, blip, blip. There we go. So this is quite good. In terms of this this latest box of recapping that I was doing, I've taken 3 boards out, One of them I don't have to do anything to because it's too far gone. The other one all I have to do is fix a couple of bridges. And this one's recapped, so I'm already 3 boards in. I'm feeling pretty good. Right, that's it. That's all the caps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 47 microfarad 16 volt, 1 10 microfarad 16 volt, and 2 100 microfarad 6.3 volts, and they're all on there and done. So let's just change our camera views here for a second, and we'll grab a toothbrush. As I have mentioned to people before, this is not the brush I use to clean my teeth. T. Miller, hello from yesterday. When yesterday? I think there are quite a few people in the chat from yesterday, because it is Sunday here. It's probably, what is it, 2? I'm just sort of thinking, because most of my US friends are on Eastern time, so that would make it 10 p.m. 10 p.m. I think 10 p.m. 10 p.m. on Saturday. Yeah, good luck trying to get Jay to stream. We've been trying for a long time. Now he has said, he did hint the other day that there could be a live stream coming some stage. Now, I know that's not the best prediction for someone to give. It's not really a prediction to say, you know, maybe. But it does give me a little bit of hope. Gathering projects. See, this is good to see. You know, there was a time when Jay was just like, nah, never live streaming again. But I sort of feel like he's starting to get the bug again. Starting to get that bug. Like, you know what? I want to share some of the funky things I'm doing with people. And of course, the one thing I'm overjoyed about is Jay is getting back into his 3D printer. We did a show. Jay will hopefully be able to put the startup disk is full link in the chat if he can. This is one of the other shows that I'm on. It's a show that I'm on with Jay and with Dana, and it's just a broad sort of tech chat where we just talk about stuff tech. And we did 3D printers in this one, and we had a couple of great guests on, and we go through all stuff to do with 3D printer, and wasn't that fun? Yes, it was. 7:17 p.m. So that's 8, 9, 10, 3 hours. Okay, all right, cool. And recovering that will require some more. Until that's done, streaming isn't really an option. Yes, so yes, we do have to accept that Jay does have some mending to do. Okay, there we go. There, he's put the startup disk is full thingy there. Just a little reminder, if anyone here is not familiar with the Color Classic, here are a few things just straight off the bat. It has some RAM on board, that's it there. 4 megabytes of RAM soldered to the board. And it has some VRAM on the board, that's it there. I think it is 512, but it could be 256. Yeah, it's 256, so it's got 256 of VRAM soldered onto the board, so you can run this without anything in these slots. But don't expect it to be able to run like a fully loaded system with extensions and stuff like that, because 4 megabytes just ain't enough. We've got a 68030 CPU here running at 16 megahertz, and we also have this void on the board, and that void allows you to expand this with a math coprocessor if you want. That's a Motorola 68882 floating point unit, if you want to put a math coprocessor on that. I put them on mine. I don't know if it makes any freaking difference, but I put them on mine. Practice streaming on Twitch. Can't for the life of me remember to keep the object directly in the center as the camera. My trinocular port has a different field of view. Yeah, I have the same problem all the time. You will regularly see me when I'm working. You're not looking at what I'm doing. It's not even centered on mine. It's not even the very direct center. I've tried to get it as centered as possible, but it's a slight offset from center, and of course it's a square inside a circular hole. So when I'm looking through the microscope, I'm seeing a big circular thing like that. That's what I'm looking at, an area like that, not to scale, of course. And then what we do is we then take a 1080p image out of the middle of it. So I can just be happily working down in this section here, and you can't see a thing that I'm doing. It takes some time to kind of get used to that, but I'm still doing it to this day. Worst thing is when you're doing pre-recorded videos. If you're doing a live stream, you kind of accept a bit of a mistake, but if you're doing a pre-recorded video and you realize the last thing you were demonstrating in the video you can't even see, and then you have to go back and do it again, it's a big pain. All right, here's the crotch classic that we were talking about before. It likes to hide down there between my legs. Not a lot of space in this workshop, so I have to just get creative where I store things. We're going to pop this board in here. It's a nice little slide-in, slotty type board. And when you're working with these, what you're always looking for is the pop. You want a chime as well, but there is a telltale pop that happens when you first switch them on. You switch them on and then you get a, and then if you get that, you know a chime is coming straight after. And so as soon as I hear that pop, I'm happy. If you don't hear the pop, the computer still works. We know there's a problem with the sound chip, probably some corrosion or something like that. But let's plug it in and see what we get. One of the little tricks with the Color Classic is, of course, you power it on with a keyboard, not the power switch on the back. The power switch on the back is kind of like a standby. And it has caught quite a few people out. I've seen a few people selling Color Classics on eBay saying that it doesn't work, doesn't power on. And then, of course, it's just because they didn't connect the keyboard up to it. And that is certainly what happened with my one. This one here, this Color Classic that I got, which is actually labelled a Performer 250. When I got this one, it said it didn't power on. And of course, all it was is just no one had plugged the keyboard into it. As soon as I plugged the keyboard in, away she went. Of course, I've since recapped it and never freak. Right. Do you have one I could buy from you, Bruce? What? Sorry, a floating point unit. Is that what you're referring to? I have one left, and it may or may not work. So let me check. Let me check. If it works, then yes, you can have that one. I need to buy some more. I normally keep a pretty good supply of floating point units, but I have gone through them, so I definitely need to order another batch. So, are we ready to see if this thing works? Yes, of course we're ready. How could we be any more ready? There we go. Just point that down a little bit there. Up there. Alright, how does the Color Classic get its video signal out? Could it be connected to an external monitor? That's a good question. It's all in the analog board, particularly down in this bit here. You can convert these to then give out a VGA signal. So then in theory, yes, you could probably, you could do what's referred to as a VGA mod on these. And once you've done that VGA mod, I would think there's a good chance that you could, yes, just send a VGA signal out to another monitor. Having said that, these power supplies aren't too happy when you VGA mod them. So. What are we looking for? What do we get? QIT make for better prints on my Ender 32. I don't even know what that is. Someone's going to have to explain it to me. I'll get Jay to explain it to me later because I think he's paying attention in the chat. Okay, so we're ready to press the power button. We'll see whether we get that pop and pop. Did you hear the pop? Okay, so that's a failed RAM test. So we've got a lot of good things going on with this at the moment. The good thing is that it started up, we got sound. So we know the sound chip is good. That's also the reset circuit. We know the reset circuit's all fine. But we did get a sad Mac chime, so that means it's done a RAM test and it has failed. What we have to do, that could just be a cleaning issue. I'm going to just have a quick inspection of the RAM first to see if there's anything noticeably untoward. But it will be one of two things. It will either be that there's some gunk in there that needs to be cleaned in the ultrasonic and it will just suddenly magically work, or we could have a failed chip. That does happen as well. Oh God, I'm yanking my microphone cable. I hope I've still got sound. There we go. Righty. So as I mentioned before, these are the RAM chips here. So let's just have a look at them, shall we? Scope view. It did that before as well. Okay, cool. So that's good. That's good. Right. So my guess is that it's almost definitely going to be a failed RAM chip. I've had that before, so it's nothing that's going to really surprise me if that's the case. I don't have any real means of testing RAM, so the way I have to do it is generally just work my way down and swap one chip at a time. Let's just have a quick look at these from an angle, because these are PLCC chips, so they have these little curly pins underneath them. So we'll just have a look here and see if we can see anything that looks nasty. There's some old flux residue there, but that's nothing particularly bad. It's fine. Look from the other side. There's some dust here, but there's nothing here like a big soldable blob or something like that that I would sort of think, oh yeah, that's the problem. And this might also interest people. No, this might also interest people. When I have had to replace these, usually it's the first chip I replace. Just looking for cracks on these pins. Sing out if you see anything. And then I'll respond to it, so it'll be so much later you won't know. We'll have no idea what it is. You do sometimes get cracks on these pins up the top where they kind of join, where they actually go into the plastic. You do sometimes get little cracks at that little top part where it curves over. So that's what I'm looking for at the moment. One of the computers, I don't remember which one, it's one of the later computers, maybe an 040, maybe a Quadra 840, I don't know which one. But so we had this, no, it's probably the Power PCs. We had this, in the olden days, the RAM file would be like do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. And then later on, one of the computers made this really horrible sound, like clunking cans and stuff like that. And it was loud. And when you would get it, in particular if you were diagnosing a fault, maybe trying to find a bad RAM stick, so you're swapping out, trying different RAM, and then it would give you that horrible noise really loud over and over and over again. Enough to drive you bananas. So we need to find ourselves a donor board, so I can just pull a chip off or two. We are looking for, what do we got there? Nope. Where are my donors classics? I've been doing a lot of work on classics lately, so the donors could be already out. Oh, hang on, that looks like a donor. It looks like a donor that's already had lots of RAM raided. RAM raid. Probably the same RAM chips on some other computers, but things like the classic had only 2 megs on it, so it's probably not the same, but it might be. It might be. I've got mountains of dead classics over here. Let's have a look on the classic and see if it's the same chip. What do we got? This actually looks like it's a pretty good board. Yeah, this one used to work. 4. No, it can't be, because it's the same number of chips, so it's only 2 meg. So it can't be that. Nuh-uh. This is a classic 2. Yeah, they're the same chip, but they're a different form factor. They're wider. Stupid. 7100 does the car crash. It's really over the top. When programs are allowed to have some fun. Did it give you an error code? No, no, you don't get error codes with these. These ones, they just make the noise. So, let's see what I can see. I've got so many classic boards here. That's mine. That's a donor. Aha, that's definitely a donor, because it's missing loads and loads of things. But it does have a full complement of RAM, so that fills me with joy. This looks to me like it was one that I might have actually tried to fix at some stage, and then I've ended up just raiding it. So, it's the fun. Right, so I'm going to I'm not going to necessarily sit here and replace every single RAM chip on this live stream. I don't really have the time to do that, but we will at least just replace one. And who knows, we might get lucky. We sometimes do get lucky with the first one. This is a Motorola chip. You can see the little M logo there. So quite a few Motorola parts on this. Motorola and Apple were bosom buddies back in the day. Okay, there's one RAM chip off, and we're just going to clean up those pads and plonk a new one on. Can you steal chips from a sim? Almost definitely could. I would need to find the right sort of sim, because as I say, it's 4 megabytes, so you don't actually have 4 megabyte sims. So what it's more likely I would find is maybe an 8 megabyte sim, or even an 8 megabyte DIM, or have you know, RAM on both sides. It would probably be the same sort. Okay, so we just want to get these pads all looking nice and shiny. We want to get rid of that little solder ball, because solder balls can come back and haunt us. Still haven't seen Steve or Mike. I'm very upset, very upset. I will walk up to Steve and I will say, "Excuse me, Mr. 84. Too good for my streams these days, huh?" This is NEC RAM. It's not Motorola, but who cares? Oops. I can confirm I have never tried ripping all the RAM off and just using a sim to see if it works. I have never tried that, so I do not know if it would work. I am not the person to ask. There are lots of things I have tried. That is not one of them. Where's my little vise? This is my little vise. I'm going to use this to hold my chip while I clean the bottom of it. Ow, 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 ow. Ow, ow, ow. It's hot. Ow. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, yeah, that's hot. Right, let's just clean them up. This doesn't have to be perfectly clean. All I want to do is get the solder off the bottom of these pins, so that when I put it down on the board, it sits flat, sits flush. Like that. It'll just make it easier to solder if it sits flush. Okay, where's my good board? Here's my good board. This is the Max board. There's our little orphan in there. Focus. Focus. Okay. Plonk that on there. Whoopsie. So yeah, just to set expectations, if this still gives me the sad Mac chime after replacing this chip, I will probably end up ending the stream because I do have other things that I need to be doing. But it will then, of course, just be a job of me going in and replacing these one at a time. And look, you know, it could be something else, but in my experience, when I get a sad Mac chime on these when they've got no RAM in them, it's one of the RAM chips. Whenever I'm soldering these PLCC chips, I generally solder down one pin on the corner of one side, and then I solder down one pin on the opposing corner. It just allows you to get the thing all lined up and straight without loading the thing up with solder. See, if I had stuffed this up, if I'd done the positioning wrong, it would be very easy for me to now remove it because I've only soldered two pins. Now I can go in and properly solder the remaining pins. I'm using a beveled edge here, which works really well for this because you can put the flat side, bridge, you can put the flat side down onto the board, onto the pins, and then it sneaks into the gap there and just allows you to solder those pins. And we just need to do it without a bridge and making sure that we get all of the pins. Just going to put a bit more flux on here. More flux makes the world go round. Yay! Oh no, the camera. What's happened? Uh-oh. What has happened here, people? Let's try something here. There we go. I know what I did. I bumped the camera was fine. I bumped the thing. I pressed this and pressed the wrong thing. So the thing was on the thing. I accidentally pressed side view. Side view is the camera here that's not plugged in at the moment. So I bumped it with the mouse or something. So sorry about that, people. Anyhow, here's my chip. Let's have a look at that from the side to make sure I haven't done any bridges. No bridges. No bridges. NC424400-80. Now that's interesting because this one's 70. So I've now got two different speed RAM chips on here. I might, if this does work, I might have to see if I can hunt down a RAM chip of the same speed. I'm not sure it's going to make any difference whatsoever, but I just don't like the idea of having two different speeds. Okay, so this is going to be the last test we do of the day. As I say, if we keep getting that sad Mac chime, I've just got to work my way through replacing chip after chip after chip. Which sucks. If I had a testing thing that could test the RAM, it would be a lot easier, but I don't, so I can't, so I'm not gonna. Alright, plug in some power, plug in some keyboard, switch on some power. 16 megahertz, no difference here. All right, we ready? We're going to give this a test. And 3, 2, 1, and bing. Still failing. So anyhow, more RAM to swap out, which is a bit of a poo. And of course, there's always a possibility that it's another chip on there instead of the RAM. And that'll just be the fun that I experience, which is just part of doing what I do. And I cannot even begin to express how much fun that is. Not to mention that I have to fix the analog board of my Color Classic. I'm currently using someone else's because mine is on the fritz. Don't know why. Color Classic board. Okay, well, I think that's it for me. So I want to say thank you to everyone who has watched, everyone, and keeping the chat alive. There's been a lot of people here, and I really appreciate it. Some new faces, some old faces. It's always good to see everyone here and, you know, chatting about all sorts of weird things. What would happen if you put food in your new giant ultrasonic cleaner and is... okay, ultrasonic cleaner. Would it taste different after? No idea. I've actually got a whole bunch of things I want to put in there that I've never put in an ultrasonic cleaner before. I'm going to go just see what happens. But yeah, it's like, we'll see. Next video. Once again, I'm sorry about these awful bite marks on my face here, making me look like I've got some sort of hideous disease. I might have, but I don't think I do. Okay, so thank you to everyone. Once again, thank you for watching the stream. Please do check out Startup Disk is Full, the other channel, in particular if you're a 3D printer fan. Go in and subscribe when we make that video live, which will be fairly soon. You can see that video that we did on 3D printing. And so, yeah, do check that out. Once again, Mac Yak, it's on 9 p.m. Every other Thursday now. We just had it last Thursday, so it'll be not on this week, but it'll be on the week after. Please check that out. As I say, just a group of guys talking about Macs and stuff and having a good old fun time. And you know, we're going to be trying to keep the chat a little bit more alive with that too, so make it more fun for the people watching. So have a good one. Enjoy yourselves in whatever time it is. If it's late, get off to sleep. If it's early, get off and do something. And I'll hopefully see you at the next live stream. So thank you for watching. Bye-bye.